The film opens with bustling city life fading into a dystopian 2029 Los Angeles, a wasteland of destruction. Sarah Connor's voice reveals the aftermath of Judgment Day, 3 billion lives lost to nuclear devastation, survivors now battling relentless machines. Metallic androids battle human guerrilla troops. Robotic tanks crush skulls as fighters seek shelter. Aircraft hunt from above. T-800 androids navigate tricky terrain. In a crumbling hallway, John Connor is hailed by soldiers as he surveys the battlefield. Sarah's voice-over reveals Skynet's plot: 2 Terminators sent back in time to kill John. The first failed in 1984, the second targets him as a child. The Resistance sends a protector, but who will reach John first is uncertain. At a truck stop at night, electric charges fill the air, creating chaos. Suddenly, a bright orb appears, vaporizing objects and leaving a naked man, the Terminator. As the charges fade, it approaches a biker bar, scanning vehicles before entering. At a biker bar, the naked Terminator calmly walks among astonished patrons. It confronts a cigar-smoking biker for clothes and a motorcycle. After a scuffle, the Terminator disarms and incapacitates several bikers. One offers his keys in fear. To the tune of Bad to the Bone, the Terminator emerges fully dressed, hops on a Harley-Davidson, but faces off with the barkeeper's shotgun. It disarms the barkeeper, takes his sunglasses, then rides away. In a trash-filled vacant lot, a police officer reports an electrical disturbance. He's ambushed by a naked T-1000 who quickly kills him. The T-1000 takes the officer's identity, locates John Connor's address using a police car's computer. Despite his foster parents' futile attempts to get him to clean his room, John Connor brushes them off and rides off with his friend Tim. In her cell at Pescadero State Hospital, Sarah Connor exercises while psychiatrist Dr. Silberman tours interns, describing her delusions. Silberman mentions Sarah's past violence and orders orderlies to administer medication, which she resists. The T-1000 arrives at John's foster parents' home, inquiring about his whereabouts. They mention John left on his bike. The T-1000 asks for a picture of John, claiming it just needs to ask him some questions. John hacks an ATM with a decoding device while Tim finds a picture of Sarah in his bag. They head to the mall to spend stolen money, narrowly missing the searching Terminator. During her review, Sarah watches a video of her past evaluation, expressing her fears of a nuclear nightmare. She erupts in anger as no one believes her. In a computer lab, Miles Dyson is asked to test a mysterious device, referred to only as it. When questioned about its origin, Dyson and his colleagues are given the same cryptic response: "Don't ask." Dyson examines a fragment of a computer chip and a robotic arm, remnants of a Terminator. Sarah requests a transfer to a minimum security ward from Dr. Silberman, who doubts her sincerity and denies her request. When denied access to her son, Sarah attacks Silberman and is subdued and medicated by orderlies. John and Tim are pursued by the Terminator through an abandoned canal. Meanwhile, the T-1000, disguised as a cop, questions girls about John's whereabouts. At the Galleria, both Terminators search for John. The T-1000 finds Tim at an arcade and shows him John's picture, but Tim warns John before the T-1000 can approach him. In a mall service hallway, John is trapped between the Terminator and the T-1000. The Terminator shields John, shoots the T-1000, and pushes John to safety before engaging in a shotgun battle. The T-1000's wounds heal, leading to a struggle with the Terminator for the shotgun. They crash into a clothing store, where the T-1000 throws the Terminator out. The Terminator swiftly recovers, grabs its shotgun, and continues pursuing John alongside the T-1000. As the T-1000 approaches, John struggles to start his motorcycle but eventually succeeds, escaping onto the street. The T-1000 commandeers a passing truck and pursues John recklessly. The Terminator, on a Harley, gives chase. John reaches a drainage canal, pursued by the T-1000 in a truck. The Terminator fires shots, causing the truck to crash, but the T-1000 maintains control. The Terminator jumps into the canal, rescues John, and disables the truck, causing a fiery explosion. The T-1000 emerges unscathed. John requests the Terminator to stop. He learns it's a Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, a machine covered in living tissue. Despite doubts, John realizes the Terminator's mission is to protect him, not kill him. The Terminator reveals it was sent by John from the future to serve as his guardian. They must flee the city and evade authorities. John wants to stop at his house. At a payphone, John calls his foster parents, but the T-1000 intercepts. John worries it's already there. The Terminator takes the phone, pretending to be John, confirming the T-1000's presence. The T-1000, disguised as Janelle, kills Todd, and the Terminator tells John the T-1000 can mimic anything it touches of similar size, but it can't transform into explosives or intricate machines. At Pescadero Hospital, a detective shows Sarah pictures from a 1984 police station massacre by the first Terminator. They link the same man to recent events at the mall. The officers inform Sarah of John's disappearance and his foster parents' murder, but she remains unresponsive. Dr. Silberman suggests she's losing touch with reality. Sarah discreetly takes a paperclip before being returned to her cell. He insists on rescuing her from the T-1000. The Terminator refuses, but John commands it to obey, discovering its mission parameters include following his orders. After a scuffle with two men, John convinces the Terminator to assist. At Pescadero, the T-1000 gains entry and seeks Sarah Connor. Sarah, restrained to her bed, uses a stolen paperclip to free herself and unlock her cell. Sarah incapacitates Douglas, takes his keys and baton, and escapes her room. She hides from the T-1000 disguised as Lewis and then attacks Silberman and an orderly, rendering the orderly unconscious and breaking Silberman's arm. She drugs the orderly with drain cleaning fluid. The Terminator shoots a guard's legs to gain entry, ensuring he'll survive. Sarah arrives with Silberman as her hostage, threatening him with a poisoned syringe. Sarah encounters the Terminator from her past and flees in terror, ignoring John's calls. As she runs, she's tackled by an orderly and others try to restrain her. John urges the Terminator to assist his mother. Unnoticed, the Terminator intervenes, freeing Sarah from the wardens. John reassures Sarah of the Terminator's intention to help. Reluctantly, Sarah accepts the Terminator's offer and they leave together. The T-1000 breaks through bars and pursues John and Sarah. The Terminator slows it down with gunfire, allowing them to escape into an elevator. The T-1000 reconstitutes itself and attacks John and Sarah in the elevator. They escape to the garage where Sarah takes a police car. The T-1000 pursues them, morphing to liquid metal to fit through a hole in the elevator. At an abandoned gas station, they hide the car and attend to their injuries. Terminator, citing its knowledge of human anatomy, treats Sarah's wound while she removes bullets from its back. Terminator senses injuries but doesn't feel pain. Terminator reveals its learning capacity, but Skynet disables it to prevent independent thinking. John and Sarah decide to reset the switch, performing surgery on Terminator to access its chip. Sarah wants to destroy the chip out of distrust, but John convinces her otherwise, emphasizing their need for it. Reluctantly, Sarah agrees, and they reset and reinsert the chip. John observes children playing with toy guns, reflecting on humanity's future. The Terminator notes humans' destructive tendencies. Sarah asks about Skynet's creator, and the Terminator reveals it to be Miles Bennett Dyson. Sarah, John, and the Terminator reach an isolated desert ranch where Sarah's friend Enrique resides. Enrique, wary of unexpected guests, emerges from hiding and reluctantly welcomes them. Sarah requests supplies and weapons from Enrique, explaining their urgent need to leave. As they sort through the weapons, John reflects on his upbringing with a focus on weaponry and his struggles after Sarah's arrest. The Terminator explains its lack of fear or emotion regarding death, solely prioritizing mission completion. Sarah carves no fate into a table, then falls asleep and dreams of a nuclear apocalypse. She sees a younger version of herself and tries to warn others of the impending disaster, but it's too late. Waking in horror, she knows she must act to prevent this fate. Sarah, armed and determined, leaves abruptly. John, understanding her mission, explains to the Terminator the significance of no fate. At Dyson's home, Sarah aims her gun at Miles, but his son's interruption causes her shots to miss. She continues firing as Miles takes cover, eventually hitting him in the shoulder. Despite her rage, Sarah hesitates when faced with Miles's pleas and breaks down in tears, unable to shoot him. John cares for Sarah as the Terminator checks on Dyson's injury. Sarah, traumatized by her actions, receives comfort from John, expressing her love for him. The Terminator reveals its true nature to Dyson, urging him and his wife to listen closely. Sarah narrates the Terminator's revelation to Miles about Skynet and Judgment Day. Miles, overwhelmed, defends himself, but Sarah dismisses his excuses. John intervenes, urging them to focus on stopping the future. Miles agrees to destroy his work and offers to help them infiltrate Cyberdyne to destroy the chip and his research. As they head to Cyberdyne, Miles leads them past security, but when questioned, they subdue the guard and proceed to the second floor to access the vault. Sarah and Miles encounter a hitch with the security system triggering an alarm. John steps in to crack the safe. Meanwhile, the Terminator suggests a forceful entry using its access code. The T-1000 reaches Dyson's home, finding it abandoned with destroyed computers and burning documents. A police broadcast alerts him to Sarah Connor and another suspect heading to Cyberdyne Systems. John retrieves the vault key while the Terminator and Sarah set explosives. The Terminator assures John it will handle the police. The Terminator fires at police cars with a minigun and grenade launcher, causing no human casualties. John and Miles open the vault and destroy the chip fragment and met alarm. As the SWAT team storms in, Sarah, John, and the Terminator prepare to escape. Sarah grabs the detonator from the dying Miles as he covers their retreat. As the SWAT team approaches, Miles holds the chip model over the detonator. With his last breaths, he warns them of the danger. The SWAT leader orders a retreat. As John, Sarah, and the Terminator escape, Miles collapses, triggering a massive explosion. T-1000 disables SWAT with sidearm and gas grenade launcher. Terminator disables police, takes van, rescues John and Sarah. T-1000 commandeers helicopter, pursues van. T-1000 grabs helicopter, takes control, pursues van. Sarah shields John with vests in van, exchanges fire with T-1000. Terminator maneuvers, causing helicopter crash. Van topples over while Terminator drives. T-1000's truck rams them. Terminator hands over the wheel to John, fires grenade at the truck. They lead T-1000 to steel mill. Terminator shoots it and causes liquid nitrogen truck to topple. Liquid nitrogen truck crashes into hangar. Terminator jumps off, rolls to safety. Truck splits open. Liquid nitrogen spills out. Workers evacuate. T-1000 emerges, slowed by frost. Terminator shoots it, shattering it. John watches as the T-1000's frozen pieces thaw in the overflowing molten metal, reforming into its human form. The Terminator warns time is short and they must leave. Separated from the Terminator by the T-1000, John and Sarah watch the intense battle unfold. Despite the Terminator's efforts, the T-1000 manages to trap it in a giant gear before escaping in human form. Sarah and John approach a platform. The Terminator removes its arm to free itself. Sarah lowers John onto a conveyor belt but stays behind. She shoots the T-1000 in the head, creating a hole that quickly fills. The T-1000 stabs Sarah's shoulder to the wall and demands she call John, but she refuses. The Terminator, severely damaged, tries to reach its grenade launcher, but the T-1000 impales it with a metal bar, causing electrical discharges and its eventual shutdown. The Terminator's eye lights up red, indicating a new power source found, and it retrieves the grenade launcher after pulling out the iron bar. John approaches his mother but realizes it's the T-1000 disguised as her. He urges Sarah to shoot, creating a hole in the T-1000's body. It reverts to its cop form and Sarah shoots it, pushing it toward a molten metal pool. The Terminator comes with a grenade launcher and shoots the other Terminator, and he drops to the lava and he is finally defeated and melts. John helps the battered Terminator up and they confirm the T-1000's demise. They discard the metal arm and chip into the molten steel. The Terminator reminds Sarah about its own chip that must be destroyed and hands her a remote for a pulley to lower it into the molten steel. John pleads with the Terminator to stay, but it insists on its duty. Tearfully, John orders it not to leave. The Terminator, understanding John's emotions, hugs him before being lowered into the molten steel by Sarah. It melts away as John watches in tears. As the molten metal covers its face, the Terminator gives a final thumbs up before disappearing. Sarah consoles John as they sob together.